I'm Kate Richards, a 60-year-old retired schoolteacher with a passion for literature and a family I cherish deeply. In my younger years, I balanced the demands of teaching with raising 3 wonderful children. Now, as a grandmother, I find new joy in watching my children navigate parenthood themselves. At the time of my experience, I had recently faced a personal crisis, a painful divorce that had left me questioning my place in the world. But I had always found strength in my faith, something that kept me grounded even when everything around me felt like it was crumbling. It was an ordinary Thursday morning when everything changed. I woke up later than usual, exhausted from the restless sleep I'd been getting for weeks. The day had started like any other. I had errands to run and tasks to complete, including preparing for a community book club meeting I was leading later that evening. The weight of all these little responsibilities felt heavy on my shoulders as I rushed around the house, barely taking a moment to breathe. By the time the evening rolled around, I was physically tired but content. I remember the warm golden light of the setting sun as I got into my car, reflecting on how the small joys of the day, like a phone call from one of my grandchildren, had lifted my spirits. The hum of the engine was soothing, and the music playing on the radio was a small comfort. It was a peaceful drive, or so I thought. The world seemed to slow down for a moment, and for once, I let my mind wander, releasing some of the tension that had built up throughout the day. That was when it happened. I didn't see the headlights until it was too late. A set of bright beams veered into my lane, and in that instant, time seemed to stretch and contract at the same time. The sound of the crash was deafening, the metal crunching against metal, and I felt my body jerk violently. Then, in the blink of an eye, everything went silent. When I opened my eyes, or what felt like opening them, I wasn't in my car anymore. I didn't feel my body at all. It was as though I had transcended it. All around me was an overwhelming radiance, a light so bright it felt like it was inside me, as well as around me. It wasn't harsh or blinding though. The warmth was gentle, and the love I felt within that light was beyond any love I had ever known, a comfort that washed away all my fears and doubts. It was as though the entire universe was embracing me, telling me that everything would be okay. I didn't feel pain. I didn't feel sorrow. There was only peace, a peace so profound that I couldn't even find the words to describe it. As I stood in this radiant space, trying to make sense of my surroundings, I noticed a figure approaching from the distance. At first, it was nothing more than a silhouette, just a blur of light. But as the figure drew nearer, I felt something within me stir, a recognition, deep and ancient. I knew beyond any shadow of a doubt that it was him. It was Jesus. How did I know it was him? I can't explain it in earthly terms, but in that moment, it was as if every cell of my being resonated with a knowing, a recognition that had been etched into my soul long before this encounter. He didn't look like the paintings I had seen in church growing up, with a long flowing robe and a serene expression. No, he radiated light. His presence was pure love, unfiltered, a presence that filled every inch of my being with peace and understanding. "Welcome," he said. It wasn't just a sound, it was a vibration that seemed to resonate in the very core of who I was. "You have many questions, and I am here to guide you." I was overwhelmed. How could this be happening? This was the moment I had heard about in stories, the moment where everything makes sense, and yet, I couldn't fully comprehend it. His gaze pierced into me, as though he could see the deepest parts of my heart. And yet, despite it all, there was only love. It was as though he knew every part of me, and yet he loved me completely. Then he asked me something unexpected. "Why do you look so young?" The question took me by surprise. It was something I had heard from others, something I had often dismissed as flattery or simply the result of good genes. But here, in this divine space, the question felt loaded with meaning, like it held a deeper truth that I needed to understand. Jesus motioned for me to walk with him, and as we moved together through the vast light, I noticed something remarkable. The light around us began to shift, to form images, like fragments of a movie playing out before me. These weren't just random images, they were memories. My memories. But not the ones I recognized from my current life. No, these were moments from past lifetimes. I saw myself in different forms. At one time, a teacher in a grand temple, standing before students, guiding them on a spiritual journey. At another time, a healer in a small village, tending to the sick with the gentlest of hands and the deepest of compassion. I saw myself as a leader, standing tall in the face of adversity, inspiring those around me with strength and grace. You have lived many lifetimes, Jesus said. Your soul carries the wisdom of those experiences. This wisdom manifests as an inner peace, which radiates outward. The images continued, and I felt a deep sense of connection to each life. These weren't just stories, they were pieces of me. Pieces that I had long forgotten, yet had always been a part of me. As I watched, I understood that my soul had been on a journey for ages, and each lifetime had shaped me, had given me lessons that I would carry forever. These lives have taught you balance, Jesus continued. Balance shields you from the negativity that ages others. It is reflected not only in your spirit, but also in your appearance. As the images of my past lives faded, the scene around me shifted. We were now standing in the midst of a lush forest, the air thick with the scent of pine and earth. Every leaf on every tree seemed to shimmer with life, each blade of grass vibrating with energy. It was more vivid, more alive, than any forest I had ever visited. It was as if the very air itself was infused with divine energy. You have always been sensitive to the energies around you, Jesus said. This sensitivity is a gift, a connection to the divine energy that permeates all things. He pointed to the trees, the sky, the ground beneath our feet. Everything is connected. When you tune into this energy, you align yourself with the rhythm of the universe. As he spoke, I thought back to moments in my life when I had felt inexplicably drawn to nature, the times I would sit outside, listening to the rainfall, or the way a sunset would fill me with hope. These weren't just coincidences, they were moments of spiritual alignment. This connection nourishes your soul, Jesus explained. And a nourished soul radiates vitality, preserving the essence of youth. As we stood in the heart of the forest, surrounded by the vibrant, almost sentient life that seemed to pulse all around us, I felt a strange sense of timelessness. There was no ticking clock, no countdown, no urgency. It was as though time itself was not something I had to contend with here. The thought seemed to linger in the air, and I felt an almost magnetic pull toward it, like the universe itself was trying to teach me something important about the nature of time. Jesus stood beside me, watching the trees sway in the breeze. Time, in the earthly sense, is a construct, he said. In the spiritual realm, it does not exist as you understand it. There is no past, no future, only the present moment, eternally unfolding. I felt the weight of his words settle into me. This, in itself, was a revelation. The constant rush of life, the years of teaching schedules, raising a family, and managing household responsibilities, suddenly seemed inconsequential. Time had always felt like a heavy burden in my life, always tugging at me, demanding my attention, reminding me that there was never enough of it. But here, in this sacred space, that pressure melted away. But how? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. How can I grasp this on earth, when everything around me is defined by time? Jesus turned to me. You must learn to be present, he explained. Not just in your actions, but in your thoughts and your heart. When you are truly present, when you align yourself with the flow of the divine energy in the moment, you step outside of time. This is when you begin to heal. This is when your soul flourishes. I closed my eyes and let his words wash over me. The very air seemed to thrum with truth. I had spent so much of my life rushing, racing against an invisible clock, always feeling behind, always worrying about what was coming next. But now I understood, this was not how I was meant to live. To heal, to grow, to feel truly alive, I needed to be present in each moment, no matter how small or seemingly mundane. In this presence, I could align myself with the divine, and in that alignment, I could find true peace. As Jesus guided me through the profound revelations of my spiritual journey, I began to understand something deeper. The true nature of youth was not about physical appearance, but about the radiance of the soul. Here, in this divine space, He began to unveil the mysteries behind why some souls appear to defy the conventional markers of aging. Youthfulness is not a matter of years, Jesus said, but a state of being that emanates from within. Then, Jesus revealed several key elements that preserve the essence of youth. 1. The wisdom of accumulated experiences. Your soul does not count years, Jesus said. It measures growth. When you process experiences with understanding rather than resentment, you prevent the corrosive effects of emotional stress. My soul had traversed countless lifetimes, collecting wisdom like a traveler gathering precious stones. Each experience had not worn me down but instead polished me, creating an inner resilience that reflected outward. The lessons learned through multiple existences had taught me balance, a delicate equilibrium between understanding and letting go. When you carry wisdom without the weight of bitterness, Jesus explained, your spirit remains light, unburdened by the gravity of past pain. 2. Energetic alignment. You are not separate from the universe, he explained. You are a conduit of its eternal energy. This connection nourishes you at a cellular level, preserving your vital essence. My sensitivity to universal energies was not a weakness but a profound strength. Just as he had shown me in the vibrant forest, everything was interconnected. My ability to tune into these divine frequencies meant I was constantly renewing myself, drawing vitality from the very essence of creation. Your connection to universal energy, he said, is like a continuous stream of renewal. Each moment you're aligned, you're essentially regenerating your spiritual core. 3. The transformative power of compassion. Emotional balance, Jesus said, is like a fountain of youth. When you process feelings with grace, you prevent the premature aging that comes from unresolved emotional turbulence. Empathy was not just an emotional response, but a spiritual practice. Every time I chose understanding over judgment, every moment I allowed compassion to flow through me, I was literally transmuting negative energy into a life-affirming force. Compassion is alchemy, Jesus revealed. It transforms pain into wisdom, anger into understanding. This transformation keeps your spirit young and vibrant. 4. Presence and timelessness. Time is a construct, Jesus reminded me. When you are truly present, you step outside its linear constraints. This timelessness is reflected in your physical form. My earlier understanding of time as a linear construct was fundamentally flawed. By learning to be fully present, to inhabit each moment completely, I was stepping outside the conventional aging process. Stress, worry, and constant future-oriented thinking were the true accelerators of aging. When you are truly present, he said, you exist in an eternal now. Here, aging becomes a choice, not an inevitability. 5. The healing frequency of forgiveness. Holding on to past hurts was like carrying stones in a backpack. Each resentment added weight, each grudge created tension that manifested physically. My ability to forgive, to release these burdens, was a powerful rejuvenation technique. Forgiveness is not about the other person, Jesus explained. It's about liberating yourself. Each time you forgive, you shed years of accumulated emotional weight. 6. Spiritual purpose and vitality. Purpose is life's most potent elixir, he said. When you are aligned with your spiritual mission, you draw from an inexhaustible source of vitality. My soul's mission was not just an abstract concept but a living, breathing energy source. Having a clear, meaningful purpose infused me with an inexhaustible vitality. It wasn't about doing more, but about being more, fully aligned with my spiritual calling. Purpose is the fountain of youth, Jesus said. When you are connected to your divine mission, you draw energy from an infinite source. 7. The alchemy of positive perception. My tendency to seek beauty, to find hope in challenging situations, was more than an emotional choice. It was a fundamental energy management strategy. Positivity wasn't about ignoring difficulties, but about transforming them. Optimism is not naivety, Jesus said. It's a sophisticated spiritual technology that constantly renews your inner landscape. As he spoke, I realized that youthfulness was never about fighting against time, but about dancing with it. It was about cultivating an inner state so rich, so vibrant, that external years became meaningless. Your age is not determined by the number of years you've lived, Jesus concluded, but by the depth of life you've experienced. At that moment, I understood. The youthful appearance people had always commented on was simply the external manifestation of an internal revolution, a soul continuously renewing itself, refusing to be confined by linear time, always growing, always becoming. After a long while, Jesus motioned for me to follow him, and we walked deeper into the forest. The path we walked was lit by an ethereal glow, and the deeper we went, the more the light around us seemed to shift, changing colors in a subtle but magnificent dance. It was as if the forest itself was alive with divine energy, constantly in motion, constantly shifting and evolving. Eventually, the trees began to thin, and ahead of us, I saw what appeared to be a vast structure, an immense, towering library. It seemed to stretch on forever, with grand stone columns that touched the sky, and its entrance was guarded by two beings of light, their forms both human and ethereal, with wings that shimmered like liquid silver. "This is the Library of Souls," Jesus explained as he guided me toward the entrance. "Within this sacred place are the records of all lives, all experiences, all journeys. Every soul's story is written here, from the beginning of time to the present moment. It is where we go to learn, to understand, and to grow." I stood in awe, my heart pounding with both reverence and wonder. The sheer magnitude of this place was staggering. Each book, each record, held the story of a soul, a journey through time, a journey of growth, pain, love, and transformation. Jesus led me inside, and I was enveloped by the quiet stillness of the library. The shelves stretched out before me, filled with countless books, each one a testament to a life lived, a soul's evolution. The air was thick with the scent of ancient parchment, yet there was an underlying sense of freshness, as if the stories contained here were still unfolding, still being written. "You can feel it, can't you?" Jesus said. "Each of these souls is connected to yours. They are all part of the same greater story, the same divine plan. We are all one, interwoven into the fabric of the universe." I nodded, feeling the truth of his words resonate within me. It was as though every soul, every experience, was a thread in the grand tapestry of existence, and my life, though it felt small in comparison, was an important part of that whole. We were all connected, linked by the divine energy that permeated everything. "Come," he said, and led me further into the library, past rows upon rows of books that seemed to stretch on for eternity. "Let me show you your own book." Jesus stopped before a shelf that seemed to glow with a subtle warm light. There, nestled in the middle of the countless volumes, was a single book with a gold-embossed cover that bore my name. "This is your soul's story," he said, gently pulling the book from the shelf. As he opened it, I saw the pages filled with intricate glowing script, the words flowing like liquid light. It was beautiful, but the most astonishing thing was that the words on the page weren't static. They were moving, shifting, growing. It was as if the book was alive. I took the book from him, my hands trembling as I held it. The moment my fingers touched the pages, a flood of memories washed over me. I saw my life, yes, but not just the moments I remembered. I saw moments I had forgotten, moments from past lives that were now becoming clear to me, like fragments of a puzzle I had been assembling for eons. In one memory, I saw myself as a child, sitting in the corner of a small room, reading a book with intense focus. I could feel the yearning in my young heart, the desire to understand more, to seek out answers to questions that no one had yet asked. In another memory, I saw myself as an old woman, wrinkled and frail, lying on a bed surrounded by my children and grandchildren. My heart was full, and I felt the deep, profound love I had for them. Each memory was a thread in the story of my soul, and as I flipped through the pages, I could feel the lessons I had learned in each lifetime, the challenges I had overcome, and the growth I had experienced. "This is what it means to be eternal," Jesus said. "You are not defined by any single lifetime. Your soul is constantly evolving, constantly growing. You carry the wisdom of your past, but you are always moving forward, learning, transforming." I closed the book, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what I had just seen. The realization that my soul had lived through so many experiences, in so many different forms, was both humbling and empowering. I wasn't just Kate Richards, I was the culmination of all the souls I had been, all the lives I had lived, and all the lessons I had learned. As I stood in the Library of Souls, holding the book of my soul, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. For the first time in my life, I understood that everything, every experience, every relationship, every hardship, had been part of a larger plan, a divine journey of growth and understanding. But then, Jesus looked at me with a soft smile and said, "It is time for you to make a choice. You can stay here, in the peace and serenity of the divine realm, or you can return to your earthly life. The choice is yours." The question hung in the air, heavy with significance. I felt the pull to stay, to remain in this divine space where everything was perfect, where there was no pain, no fear, only love and light. But at the same time, I felt a deep sense of purpose stirring within me. I knew that I still had work to do on earth, that my journey wasn't over. There were lessons yet to be learned, people yet to be loved, and experiences yet to be had. With a deep breath, I made my choice. "I will return," I said. "I have more to do." Jesus smiled. "You are ready," he said, and in that moment, I knew that I had found my purpose, that I had found the strength to face whatever was to come. And as the divine light began to envelop me once more, I felt myself being gently pulled back toward the earthly realm. The sounds of the forest faded away, and the warmth of Jesus' presence began to recede. But even as I returned to my physical body, I knew that the wisdom I had gained, the peace I had felt, would never leave me. I woke up in a hospital bed, my body aching as though I had been through an ordeal I couldn't remember. The sterile scent of the room, the faint beeping of machines, and the soft murmur of voices around me, all of it felt distant, as though I had been somewhere far away. My eyes fluttered open, and I saw the concerned faces of my family and friends gathered around me. But there was something different. Something inside me had changed. I felt a profound peace, a sense of connection to something far greater than myself. I knew that I had returned, but I also knew that I was no longer the same person who had left. My journey was not over. It had only just begun. As I recovered and returned to my daily life, I carried with me the lessons I had learned. Time, as I had once understood it, no longer held the same power over me. I no longer rushed through each day, chasing after an elusive future. Instead, I embraced the present, savoring each moment, knowing that every breath I took was a part of the divine tapestry of existence. And as I looked in the mirror each day, I saw not just a woman of 42 years, but a soul that had lived countless lives, learned countless lessons, and was now ready to fulfill its purpose with renewed clarity and love. My appearance, once something I had fretted over, now felt like a reflection of my inner journey, a journey that would continue for as long as my soul still had lessons to learn. I knew now that life was not about the destination, but about the journey, the growth, the love, the lessons. And as I moved forward, I did so with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that I was never truly alone. The divine, the eternal love that had guided me through my near-death experience, would always be with me. And so I walked on, knowing that each step was part of a greater story,